Welcome to the 9th episode of the PlayStation Randomizer, where we have yet to get a game worth a complete rating. Today's pick is Resident Evil HD. Oh boy, this is a classic I never played, so I might have to tread carefully with my review. Metacritic score is understandably high, but I wonder how much of that is nostalgia. Let's check it out. Okay, let me preface by saying I have a ton of respect for the Resident Evil series, and I know this first game is a classic, with the HD version being the definitive way to play it. But this is my series, and I hated it. Like I said, I've never played any versions of this first game, though I do enjoy the others in the series, and will actually be streaming Resident Evil 4 over on my Twitch in the near future. But yeah, the reason I never got around to this one is because I just don't care for the fixed camera and antiquated mechanics in it. The game still looks really good, I'll admit, and that's largely because they can use high-quality static backgrounds and just focus resources on the character models, but the controls, menus, progression system, just none of it stuck with me. At least they updated the awful tank controls of the original, but the static screens still make it kinda tough to move around, as your direction will randomly change when you wrap around a corner, and then you have to shift your analog direction to match where you're facing, and sometimes enemies will creep into frame, which is admittedly scary, but also frustrating since your character would have seen them, but the player has to react suddenly and deal with the clunky attack controls. As much as it would have made things too easy, I think a lock-on system would have gone a long way to mediate how terrible it is to actually aim and shoot enemies, especially since the aim controls on the stick mean you can't move while aiming, leaving you open to attacks, and the only defensive method you have is a one-time use consumable. Basically, combat is super not fun. And when the rest of the game is just navigating a bunch of static screen camera shifts trying to figure out what door you can actually go through next, it's just a lot of long, empty sections broken up by brief zombie combat that isn't very good. Add in a very limited inventory system that puts key items in with ammo, health, and the also weirdly limited ink ribbons used to save, and you get a game that just doesn't hold up to modern sensibilities. Again, a lot of people love it, and I appreciate what it's trying to do. I mean, they did a really good job remaking it with much better presentation, and for a remastered GameCube game, it holds up visually. I just found it a chore to play, and the puzzles I ran into weren't even that interesting, mostly just matching the right item to the right door, or pushing a thing over to something else. If you have the nostalgia, you're already mad at my opinion, but for everyone else, I can't in good conscience rate this anything other than try. It's an interesting study in where the Resident Evil franchise started, but there's a reason the other games have been remade in modern ways. So much about this game just doesn't feel fun to play, and the few modern conveniences this remake adds are still too faithful to the original to make it better. I honestly feel bad being critical, but that's the reason I never wanted to play this in the first place. I knew I wouldn't like it. But alas, it's the nature of the series. Until next time.